Every legend hides a heartbeat of truth. Across the world, ancient myths describe monsters too strange to believe, yet again and again, science uncovers the echoes of real creatures that inspired them. Tonight, we dive deeper into the forgotten corners of myth and history. From river demons mistaken for dinosaurs, to birds so enormous they could swallow men whole, these are 7 more mythical creatures that, in one way or another, truly existed. The rockin' Arabian Tailies. The ROC was a bird of unimaginable size capable of lifting elephants in its talons and darkening the sky with its wings. It appeared in the stories of 1001 Nights and Marco Polo's accounts, a feathered monster that made eagles look like sparrows. The truth? The legend likely stems from real, prehistoric giants. On the island of Madagascar lived the elephant bird, Epiornis maximus, an enormous flightless bird that stood 10 feet tall and laid eggs larger than a football. Though it couldn't fly, its sheer size must have inspired exaggerated tales when travelers heard of it. Meanwhile, fossils of giant raptors like Argentavis in South America, birds with 20-foot wingspans, prove that flying monsters once did rule the skies. To a sailor spotting bones or hearing native tales, the leap from giant bird to ROC was easy. And with every retelling, the bird grew bigger, until it became a legend that could pluck up elephants and vanish into the clouds. The Sea Serpent. From Viking sagas to sailors' journals in the 1800s, tales of sea serpents haunted the oceans. Enormous snakes with coils that stretched for miles, rising from the waves to capsize ships. Were they pure fantasy? Not quite. Enter the oarfish, the longest bony fish in the world, growing up to 36 feet. With its shimmering silver body and red crest, it looks utterly alien. Rarely seen, when storms or earthquakes force it to the surface, it rides like a living ribbon of the deep. Early sightings of these bizarre creatures almost certainly inspired sea serpent legends. Giant eels and misidentified whales added to the confusion. In fact, the famous Gloucester sea serpent sighting of 1817 in Massachusetts was later thought to be schools of large eels moving in strange patterns. But for sailors on fragile wooden ships, one glimpse of a massive writhing body in the waves was enough to ignite stories of endless serpents lurking just beneath the surface. The Minotaur. Greek myth tells of the Minotaur, a half-man, half-bull, trapped in a labyrinth, feeding on human sacrifices. It sounds like pure fantasy, yet its roots may lie in a collision of culture and biology. Archaeologists studying Minoan Crete uncovered evidence of bull worship, including frescoes of humans leaping over charging bulls. Bulls symbolized power, chaos, and divine energy. Combine this with tales of unusual birth defects or children born with severe deformities, and the image of a half-human, half-bull began to take shape. Another possibility? Encounters with wild aurochs, massive, now extinct cattle that stood taller than most men. To ancient eyes, these beasts were monsters in their own right, far fiercer than modern bulls. The Minotaur legend then becomes a mythic echo of both ritual practice and real beasts that once roamed Europe. The Kappa. In Japanese folklore, the Kappa was a water demon child-sized with green skin, a turtle shell, and a dish-like head that held water. Mischievous and dangerous, it was blamed for drownings and river accidents. But could it have roots in reality? Some historians believe the Kappa legend was born from encounters with Japanese giant salamanders, which can grow nearly 5 feet long. With their slimy bodies, wide mouths, and eerie cries, these amphibians must have seemed otherworldly to villagers. Their nocturnal habits around rivers matched perfectly with Kappa tales. Another theory is that Kappas were a cultural warning system. Parents used the myth to scare children away from dangerous rivers, teaching them to respect water's hidden dangers. The legend may not be literal, but it was built on something very real: giant, mysterious creatures lurking in Japan's streams, and the very real risk of drowning in their currents. The Banshee in Irish folklore, the Banshee was a ghostly woman whose wail foretold death. Pale and weeping, she appeared at night, her cries chilling the blood of anyone who heard them. But like many myths, the roots may lie in real-world phenomena. Some believe the Banshee myth originated from owls or barn owls, whose haunting, screeching calls sound eerily human when carried on the wind. Others point to women in mourning traditions. Keeners were hired to wail at funerals. These eerie, grief-stricken sounds could easily transform into supernatural stories. There's also a psychological layer. In rural Ireland, where life was harsh and death came often, families explained tragedy through symbols. Hearing a strange cry in the night before losing a loved one wasn't coincidence. It was the Banshee's warning. Whether spirit or bird, the myth gave shape to something very human: our instinct to find meaning in sorrow. The Encantadoan Amazonian folklore, the Encantado is a shape-shifting river dolphin that emerges from the water, transforms into a human, and lures people back. Beneath the surface, beautiful yet sinister, it blends seduction with danger. The Amazon river dolphin, or Bodo, is a real animal with an eerie, human-like smile and pink skin. During the rainy season, these dolphins swim into flooded forests, appearing almost magically in places people don't expect. Combined with their haunting whistles and strange behaviors, it's no wonder locals imagine them as supernatural beings. The myth also served as a warning. Don't wander too close to the riverbanks at night, and don't trust strangers who appear out of nowhere. It's a reminder that sometimes myths aren't just about monsters. They're about survival in a world full of unseen dangers. The dragon turtle in Chinese mythology. The dragon turtle is a hybrid of two sacred animals: part dragon, part turtle, symbolizing strength and longevity. Depictions show it with a turtle's body and a dragon's head rising from the water. But this myth, too, may have real roots. Some scholars believe the myth was inspired by the alligator snapping turtle, a reptile native to North America but known through trade and stories. With spiked shells, massive jaws, and a dragon-like head, it looks like something pulled straight from a fantasy painting. In Asia, giant soft-shell turtles capable of reaching over 200 pounds also fed into the legend. Over time, these real turtles merged with the revered image of dragons, becoming a symbolic beast that still features in feng shui and temple art. It may not breathe fire, but one look at a snapping turtle's jaws, and you can see why ancient people thought it might. From sky-darkening birds to wailing spirits in the night, these legends remind us that myths don't just spring from thin air, they're born from the bones, cries, and creatures of our world. Each tale is a reflection of fear, wonder, and the unknown, all stitched together into stories that refuse to fade.